Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ford. In the spirit of focusing on different types of research methods like quantitative and qualitative, I recently downloaded this article. As you can see, it was written by David Rood from the George Washington University, and it is titled Developing Emotional Intelligence in Leaders, and they did a qualitative research approach. Now, I did not have access to their data. So this is literally a research paper. So it is very important to understand that the data that I collected is from this actual research paper. So what I did is I literally crawled this particular data or article. And what I did was I pulled out quotes and I coded it with an emotional intelligence domain, what the theme of the leadership was, their learning modality, and then other contextual notes. So one of the things I'm going to have to do now is I'm going to have to transform this data so that it is usable data set. So I have now gotten my data in a nice clean format that I can use in Excel or use. I used Python to clean this. I am not here to teach Python, but I'll show you my script real quick. So it took that data the way that I had it and turned it into this nice structured set of data. Then what I did, now this, I am so not going to walk you through all my Python code, but as you can see, I did a lot of different analyses where I pulled out thematic labels and top keywords. And then I have a saturation matrix, which this one is actually a prettier saturation matrix. And then I categorized sentiment, created a histogram of sentiment scores. So I'm using all qualitative data to create visualizations so that I have the quote count by sentiment category. And again, as you can see, I've got... I pull out exemplars based on, and I've got clusters. So I have 5 clusters of data. I've got a nice Word document that I have put together that pulls all of this info from Python. But again, my goal is not to teach Python. That's not what I'm here to do. So now that as I'm analyzing data in many different ways, I have created visualizations because once you get ready to submit your dissertation, you're going to need visualizations. So again, as you can see, I have created visualizations. I did this all with Python coding. Now, again, if you can afford a text analysis tool like an Vivo, that will do all of this, so you're not writing code. That's the direction I would send you in. And Vivo is not cheap. There could be, I don't know of a lot of packaged software for this type of analysis because I use NLP type natural language processing. But anyway, let's jump over here to Word. So what I did was based on the article, I wrote my research question. So I've got a research question here. And notice, this is the one interesting thing about qualitative data. You're not, unlike the quantitative videos that I showed you where I had one null and alternate hypotheses. Notice I've got different sets here. So this, I will tell you, this is why many of my research students choose quantitative data. But again, it all has to do with what you're trying to research, what you're trying to learn. And you shouldn't be afraid of qualitative data. It does take some working with it. But anyway, I wanted to show you that. So again, I've created 4 sets of hypotheses. I've got my cluster analysis, and also again, this is not completely formatted to APA. This is for demonstration purposes only. So my font sizes are different sizes and such. I did that to kind of help get things on the page. But this is what it pulls, what Python pulled out, and the tentative theme. And then the EI domain analysis, and we've got the scoring by that. And I wrote this up. So, and you'll get a handout that accompanies this video, which is this analysis that I'm showing you on screen, so you can see what how I have interpreted and provide commentary for each of the tables, and then my figures. Here, I didn't do them for those, but I've got like the table 3, the EI domain saturation matrix, where I've discussed that. The same thing here, where I've got the leadership theme matrix, where I have, like it shows, cluster 2 is rich with mentoring, coaching, and change management. And so you really do. You really come out with some wonderfully rich, and I know I use that word, but insights from when you're working with qualitative data. The learning modality, if you remember from the original set of data, I had identified the modality where it's experiential, mentorship, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read them all off to you. So I have, again, interpreted this learning modality matrix here. And then I have a nice little discussion of all of those. Now, you would not normally put your code book in this part. Well, and again, this is demonstration. I'm not following APA, but I wanted to show you that I've got a code book where I have my domain, the code, what it means, and some example phrases. So if someone's looking at my research, normally your code book would go in an appendix. So anyway, generally. And then I just wrote up a brief methods where I used a hybrid NLP, natural language processing, and used k-means clustering and so forth and so on. And then I've got the analysis. I won't read this in entirety because, again, you will get this handout in class. But I also have all these beautiful visualizations that if you are working on your dissertation, you're going to need visualizations. So I've interpreted what each of the visualization means. Again, I'm not going to read those, but as you can see, I've got a nice heat map here. I've got a quote clustering map where I did principal component analysis. And then the sentiment score, the box plots for the sentiment score by the emotional intelligence domain. And then I've got the quote count by leadership theme. And so as you can see, the highest theme is change management. I probably should have flipped this around, but it's okay for this demonstration purposes. And then I wrote up a summary discussion of findings so that I talk about whether or not I can accept or reject the not null hypothesis for each one of the hypotheses that I have written. So anyway, I want to wrap this up because, again, I thought it was only fair that you also saw an example of working with qualitative data.